Hey you guys, thanks for watching my best version of me. Welcome to another video. What is up, everybody? So, on September 11th, 2025, I just celebrated 2 years clean in active recovery, like active drug addiction, whatever you want to call it. But 2 years clean for me, those years clean. What? Like, what? Boom, 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 boom. Check it. Check it, yo. You guys got to see it. You see it on there? Multiples. Multiples. What? That's right. That's right. My life is the best it has ever been, hands down, right now. Like, for real. Like, I can't even express how good my life is right now. But it wasn't always that way. Stay tuned. All right. So really quick, before we dive into this video, I want to do a quick disclaimer because this is not anything related to NA or anything like that. So I am just going to explain my stories the way they are. I'm not going to edit them. I'm not going to, basically I'm not going to edit them, meaning like paraphernalic. All right. Paraphernalic words. I'm not going to remove those. I mean, that it just takes away from the story, you know. It's like trying to tell somebody about, you know, the police chasing you down the freeway, you know, and you know, how you got away and all that stuff. But if you change that and you're like, you know, the police officer chased me down the expressway and turned his sirens on. If you take that versus if like he just jumped on me, I was on the freeway, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you see what I'm trying to say? It takes away from the my point and the story, whatever. So anyway, and plus the biggest thing, what I wanted to say is that I am going to be saying words that, you know, may cause triggers or cravings or stuff like that. And the last thing I want is to be responsible for somebody having a relapse or anything like that. I do not want that on my conscience. Ain't having it. So if words like that are going to mess with your head and cause you to possibly do something that you wouldn't normally do, turn this video off right now, bookmark it, give it a like, whatever, add it to your like videos. That way you can come back to it later when you're stronger in the head and you can handle it, and then you can go from there. Like I said, I don't want to be responsible for anybody relapsing. So if you can't handle the terminology and all that, please stop the video and come back to it later on. All right. So with that being said, if you can handle the terminology or the whatever words, if you can handle the words I'm going to be using and all that, and it's not going to mess with your head, then keep watching. And I'm just trying to share some of my experience, strength, and hope. You know, 2 years summed up in about, you know, however long it takes to make this video. 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I don't know. We'll see by the time I'm done recording this video. So back when I started in my drug addiction, you know, I don't remember the year. I don't remember any of that. I didn't take notes of any of that stuff. It was a few years ago, you know, maybe 10 years ago. And I remember that, you know, I knew that, you know, I didn't want to just change my life and just become a freaking tweaker and, you know, completely ruin my life and everything. That was not my intention. I was curious. Curiosity is what started my drug addiction. You know, a lot of my friends were doing meth. You know, in Washington State, I guess meth is like the go-to drug here. You know, I mean, like in California, it's weed. In Washington, it's meth. You know, like it's bad up here. But you know, a lot of my friends were doing it, you know, back then. But they all worked. They all had car payments and paid their rent and paid their bills and stuff like that. They were all functioning addicts. So it didn't bother me, I didn't care, but, my mind started off with curiosity, it was just like, I would be hanging out with them and I would see it, just from hanging out with them, and stuff like that. I would see them using it and whatever and be around them when they're high, and see how they are when they're high, and after just being around it for so long, I just kind of wanted to try it one day. And I remember being at home with my ex, and she was an active user at the time. She was also a functioning addict. And I remember we were just talking about it. We were having a conversation or something. And I remember telling her, man, I kind of wish you had some right now because, I would want to try some. And that was all I had to say. She was like, wait, what? I mean, like, she was like, let me run to my car. And I'm like, wait, you have some in your car? So anyway, she went down, she got some, drew me up a line, boom, the rest is history. Now, I remember, like I said, she was using way before I was. So she knew what was going on. She knew what was up. And she told me, she was like, I don't want you to do this stuff because, it's going to completely change your life. It's going to rob you of every good thing you've ever had, just like it does everybody else. And I was like, no, I'm different. Like my head is stronger. I am more control of myself and I know what's going on. I'm very strong willed and minded when it comes to my head and all that, And she says, that's just it. She says, that's what meth does. It finds the strongest people mentally. It sinks its claws into them and drains them from everything that they have. Everything. So I was like, no, but I'm different. I'm different. So, yeah, that was that's what was my thought process there. So basically my life of partying began. Now I don't know, like I consider myself, sorry, I had to put my glasses down. I consider myself lucky because, I can't remember the way they said it, but my ex-girlfriend and my best friend used to say like, oh yeah, like you're a tweaker with training wheels, or whatever, because I had her in one corner that it was coming out of another relationship where her ex, was also in the game, whatever. And, then my best friend at the time that was a dealer. So, I had the best of both worlds, and I had both of them showing me the ropes, what to do and what not to do in that, in this stuff, messing around with this stuff. So, yeah, so those were my two training wheels, and I learned a lot from both of them. Do's, don'ts, good, bad, and ugly, everything. I learned a lot about, but I still got myself, I still made my own, tried to make my own decisions and learn about, learn about whatever, everything, I lost my train of thought there. I remember one day I was, sitting at the casino with my buddy. And we're just sitting there, chopping it up, and we're talking about dope, and everything. And I remember asking him, cause I'm like, man, like if I meet somebody and, they want to smoke or they want to do some or whatever, how do you spark up a conversation with somebody about this stuff? I mean, you obviously don't walk up and say, hey, do you want to do some meth? I mean, you don't do that. So I'm asking him these things like, you're a dealer, so he tells me, I said, so what do they call it? What do they call it in the street? And he, I'll never forget what he said. I was like, dude, what do they call this stuff in the street? If I want to bring it up to somebody, he said, shit. I was like, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah, they call it shit. So, sorry. So I said, so wait. I said, so you're telling me, so if I see some girl, whatever, or if I see, somebody, whatever, and I'm like, hey, do you want to smoke some shit? Like, I could not wrap my head around that. I thought he was just setting me up for failure. I just thought he was just saying that and he was just going to watch me just crash and burn and just laugh his ass off. But no, that's That's the way it is, you know? And that leads me to when I met another friend of mine because I was sitting there smoking one day on the side of the freaking road, and, she rolls up and she's like, and she had rolled by before a couple times and she'd seen me sitting there and I seen her roll by a couple times, this was like a spot that, you went to go indulge, when you wanted to. So I'm sitting there. She ends up walking up to my Jeep, and she goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm sitting there. I have the pipe and everything in my lap, so she could just see me from like here up, and I'm just like, nothing. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And so I wanted to see what my friend was talking about. So I was like, I'm just smoking, because I smoked weed, and all that. I've smoked weed my whole life, And she said, "Smoking what?" And I said, some shit? She said, "Me too." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Dude, are you kidding me?" Like, it was like, hallelujah, like fireworks going off in my head. I can hear like, yeah, Beethoven, all of them, whoever it is, whatever. Anyway, it was a good time, I was like, holy crap. I said shit and it worked. Like that's that. I said that and she was like, "Hey, me too." And boom, boom, we started talking and it was awesome. And yeah, and I remember that. So like, that's one of my crazy memories along multiple hundred thousands of crazy memories, but that's one of the ones that stick out. Yeah. So that's all I got to say about that. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. This stuff is not anything that you want to mess with. Like, I'm going to tell you that hands down right now. If you've never done it, don't ever do it. Run from it. Get as far away from it as you can. Because it totally screws with your head. It screws with your mind. It screws with your emotions. Like my ex used to say, whatever your brain sees, wants, hears, all that, the drug makes all that come to reality. So if you think your girl is cheating on you, then she's cheating on you. If you think you saw her up on a roof spying on you, then you saw her up on a roof spying on you, which I did. I thought I saw her up on a roof spying on me one night. And I remember getting into an argument with her, thinking that she was up on a roof spying on me, knowing that she's afraid of heights. There'd be no way in the world that she can get up on the roof by herself. But yet I was yelling at her, screaming at her, telling her, "Yeah, I just saw you up on the roof with so and so and so and so." And she's like, "How in the heck would I get on the roof? And why would I be on the roof with so and so and so and so?" I mean, to me, now I hear that and it completely just makes me laugh because I'm like, dude, like, man, it was so stupid. The things that drug does to your head. I mean, like, there was another time her and I were both at a bonfire that we were having on our property. And we had a bunch of people there and we're sitting there and everything. Well, our neighbor had a boat like on his property and it was all tarped off and everything. I mean, it was a big boat, like a yacht type of boat, and it was all tarped off and everything. So, but we're sitting down at the bonfire and I look up and like, and this is the weirdest thing, like when her and I were both high, but we're both seeing the same thing, talking about it. Like we're both hallucinating, seeing the same thing. I don't understand it. I don't understand how this happens, but we were both looking at that boat and we're thinking that we see a full blown party going on that boat. And we're like, wait, how is there another party going on and by our party and we don't know about it? Like, who are all these people? We're looking up there and we're straight pointing at people that are on the boat. We're pointing at people that are on the boat. We're looking at the jackets. We're complimenting them on the jackets that they're wearing, the attire that they're wearing, Seahawks gear, stuff like that. We're talking about all that stuff. Her and I are both seeing the same thing. So she goes to the house and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to go grab something to drink. Do you want anything?" I'm like, "Sure, grab me something." So she goes up to the house. Now, when she gets to the front door, the boat is now literally like 5 feet away from our front door. So All she does is she goes, "Hey, babe," and yells at me, and I'm way down at the bonfire, looking up at her, and she goes, "Hey, babe." So I look up, I'm like, "What's up?" She goes, "When you come up here, look at the boat and tell me what you see." So I was like, okay, that's weird. So I talked for a few more minutes and then I wrapped it up and I went up there, about another 50, 75 feet away from the bonfire. And when I got to my front door, I looked up at the yacht that we were just looking at with the party on it, and there was nobody on the yacht. The whole entire yacht was completely covered with a tarp that is tied down with ropes and knots and everything. Like there's no way anybody would have been on that boat. But yet she saw a party and I saw a party and we both saw the same people and the both same things at the same party. I don't understand how that happens, but it happened while we were on dope and we were high off our ass at this bonfire. And it completely effed with our head because we were both like, wait, there's nobody there, but we saw everything. We saw everything, every little detail. It was crazy. Stay off that stuff because it is the devil. It is the devil. There's this other time that I was at the beach. We used to go. There was this little spot that we used to go and smoke at, whatever, down on the beach by where we lived, just a couple blocks away. We'd drive down there or sometimes walk down there, whatever. This particular night, I had driven my truck down there. It was late at night. My ex-girlfriend, girlfriend at the time, I don't think she was feeling well or something like that. Anyway, she was at the house. She was asleep. I left, obviously high, so I was not asleep. I left, was like, yeah, I'm going to go find some place to smoke. So I went and was smoking down by the water. So I'm sitting in the truck smoking, and all of a sudden I get out to take a leak, and I'm standing out to take a leak. And all of a sudden, I hear my girlfriend whispering my name. Like, I couldn't see her because it was dark, but I can hear her like either on the beach or like just maybe further down, like maybe in these bushes or something like that. But I can hear her like whispering my name, and I'm like, what the heck? And I can hear her like laughing, like whisper giggle laughing. You know what I mean? Like not laughing out loud, but kind of a whisper laugh, if that makes sense. And I can hear her. And then I started to hear a couple of her friends. And I'm like, dude. So the first thing I thought, I was like, dude, they came down here because, like I said, it's like walking distance. You could drive or walk. So I thought, oh, dude, like I've been down here long enough. They had enough time to walk down here. They walked down here and now they're totally messing with me. They're totally messing with me. They're hiding in the bushes somewhere. So I got out. So I was sitting there going around the truck, like looking through these bushes and looking stuff. And I can hear them. I can hear them running around, like going around these bushes and stuff like that, running from me and stuff. And they're giggling and stuff. And I'm running around. I'm trying to freaking find them and stuff like that. And I'm doing this for like 45 minutes, like 45 freaking minutes, running around in the dark in this alleyway that leads down to the beach, like this boat launch thing. And I'm running around this thing, like chasing my ex-girlfriend and a friend or two of hers that are spying on me in the beach or whatever. And all of a sudden, this car goes by and its headlights kind of like it shines down that boat launch where I was at. So the lights kind of like hit me, hit my truck and everything and just light up the way. And so it was like a split second of like, boom, like reality check, boom, back to normal. I'm just standing there looking at my truck, pipe in my hand, torch in the other hand. And I'm going, what the heck just happened? So all of a sudden it's like back to reality. I get in my truck. I put everything away. I drive back up to my place. I go into our trailer. I open the door and there's my girlfriend asleep on the bed. And she wakes up right as I walk in the door. And I says, babe, I said, have you been here the whole time? And she's like totally confused, literally just opening her eyes, like just barely opening her eyes. She's like, yeah, of course I've been here. What are you talking about? And that's when I knew that drug is really bad. Like for 45 minutes, I was down there at the beach chasing nobody, running around my truck in circles, looking through the bushes, laughing and gawking and stuff like that over things and people, and nobody was there. That freaked me out. Don't ever do this drug ever. Don't ever do it. If you've never done it, don't ever do it. Because if I find out you're doing it, I'm going to kick your, yeah, don't ever do that. So eventually down the road, my girl and I ended up splitting up. I mean, a lot of things ended up leading to the split up, but I will definitely say that it had to do with the drug usage, on both of our ends, yeah, so we ended up splitting up, and I remember having a conversation with her when we were still together, and I remember telling her, man, like if we ever split up, I would probably stop doing this because it just wouldn't be the same. Well, that didn't happen. When we split up, I took that as like, oh, I'm free. Like I could do this now and I don't have to report to anybody and I can do whatever I want. And I literally went off the deep end. I mean, I believe we were already off the deep end, but I literally just head first, just straight down, just boom. I mean, I went down fast. Like I started slamming it a lot more because back when I was with her, it was kind of few and far between. At certain times it got more and at certain times were less. But after her and I split up, that was basically like the only way I did it, that way in smoking. And yeah, it just got really bad. It got really bad. Now is basically like it gets really confusing in my recovery because once she got out of the picture, things started happening really fast. Things started happening really, really fast. I started hanging out with different people, some good, some bad. I started doing things, some good, some bad. And I was basically out of control. There was nobody to hold me accountable for my actions or anything. And I was not seeing the things that I was going through and I wasn't seeing how bad I was. So things just went, time went by. I started selling. I have to say, knock on wood, I am very lucky. Actually, it's not luck. I'm very blessed that I never got arrested. Never, not once in my whole entire addiction from the time I started until the time I have 2 years clean today. Like never have been busted with the law when it comes to this stuff. And I think that's because God knew that he had different plans for me. And he knew that me being in jail or me being dead wasn't going to fulfill his plans. So yeah. So after being in all these things and literally being in my car, sometimes talking to myself, thinking that there's other people there with me. I mean, like being in hotels, talking to people and there's nobody there. I mean, like I could sit here and go on 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 and go on. So many things happen in my life that I really lost my train of my time. I lost everything. That's why like there's a lot of parts of my story where I cannot tell you how long ago it was or what year it was in or what month it was in, because if you come from this background, you understand time just warps itself into one strand of time, and that's whatever, tweaker time, and that's it. So fast forward down the road, I ended up deciding, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. Fentanyl started getting mixed into the thing, and I was like, yeah, I'm smoking, shooting up, doing loads, whatever, and falling asleep, passing out. And I'm like, dude, this sucks. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do this and then pass out. I had no interest in fentanyl or anything like that. So, I knew that something had to change, and something changed. So what changed? Me. I changed. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I had already lost a relationship with my mom, and I didn't want to be fighting with my mom anymore. I didn't want to be sleeping in my car anymore. I didn't want to be wondering if I was going to be alive the next day anymore, or if I was going to get busted from the cops anytime. I didn't want to worry about any of those things anymore. And I knew, like I said in the very beginning, I knew that this was not a life that I wanted to have forever. I knew it was something that I wanted to try, party, get in, get out, and be done with it. So with knowing that, it was easy for me to just be like, you know what? With the fentanyl, screwing everything up and all that, I'm done. I'm out. And of course, that whole situation took like 2 years to fully get out, getting out, going back in, getting out, going back in, getting out, going back in. If you have any years behind you at all, you know what I mean. Something has to click for you to decide to be done with it. I knew that I didn't want to be going to NA for 20 years to be able to get control of this. I don't know, something inside of me was telling me you don't have to do that. Like, if you could just learn to get a control on it, learn to figure out your cravings, your triggers, all that stuff. If you can learn how to deal with that, you don't have to be going to NA for 20 years. You can live a normal life like regular people. You can be healed. Well, that is when my mom introduced me to Joel Osteen, the pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. Once I started following Joel Osteen and all of his sermons, that's when things really started changing for my life. I didn't know what I was watching at first. I would just turn him on and just watch a random video. And that random video, God would talk to me through that video. And there were lots of times I'd be watching those videos and I would be sitting here in tears, crying like a baby. Like, I wouldn't watch his videos until my mom went to work because I knew it was going to make me cry like a baby. And I was embarrassed and I was shy and I didn't want anybody to see that. So I would sit here by myself and just watch those videos and let God talk to me, and it would just break me down like a baby. But I started learning about me and about the kind of person that I really wanted to be, and the kind of person that I wanted to be, somebody that people can look up to. I wanted to be the kind of person that can help people that are in need, or people that just less fortunate, or people that are still in recovery, or anything like that. I just wanted to help people because I had so many people help me in my life when I was having a hard time and there wasn't a lot of people there. I had people stick their neck out for me that didn't even know me or didn't even have any business helping me. But I didn't know then, but I believe now God sent them as angels to help me. And so I want to give back. Like, now I am, like I said, I just celebrated 2 years clean. And I truly, honestly can say that I have 2 years clean because of Joel Osteen and Lakewood Church. Like, NA and my sponsor got me through step work, and I didn't do all the step work, but it got me through some of the step work, and it got me through a lot of the bad times. But like I said, knowing how to go from those bad times to completely free from that label of addict, I learned that through Lakewood Church and Joel Osteen and watching his sermons. And I learned that this is not a permanent thing. I am not an addict. I am a child of the Most High God. And I was addicted to a drug that God broke the addiction, and he removed the cravings, removed the triggers, removed all of that from my body because I prayed and asked him to. And I educated myself on prayer and the Word of God and faith and hope and belief and tithing and all of that stuff. I educated myself on all of that stuff. And now that's the life that I live. I live a life given to Christ. I don't worry about anything because I know that God is controlling everything in my life. He is my supplier. He gives me everything that I need. So I don't worry about anything anymore, ever. But now that I got my 2-year tag, now that I got my black tag, now that I am done, I'm done. Like, I've gotten my black key tag. I've gotten all the key tags. No more key tags. No more meetings. None of that stuff. A lot of people won't agree with me at this point. A lot of people, I'm going to start getting a lot of hate comments. Oh, if you're not going to NA, da-da-da-da-da. I've heard all that. I'm not going to say I know all that, but I've heard all of that. But you have to believe me when I say, if you put your faith in God, all you have to do is believe and have faith, and God will do the rest. That's the hardest part. That is the hardest part between faith strong, like people that are really strong in their faith, like Joel Osteen and his whole family and other pastors and other people of the church and stuff like that. I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, because I am not. I am just a regular guy that had people care about him and show him the right way. And my mom led me to Joel. Joel led me to Christ, and Christ freed me from an addiction that I never have to worry about ever again. And that can happen for anybody. It's not just me. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy. It can happen to anybody, but you have to hand it over to God. You have to ask him for help, and then you have to believe that he is going to help you and have the faith that he is going to help you, and then help is on its way. I guarantee that. I guarantee it, because it has happened to me. And just like he says, he is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if he did it for me, and if he's done it for other addicts, and if he says it right out of the Bible, he will do it for you too. I promise you that. So that's all I got to say about that. Thank you so much for watching this video. And it's about to be on and cracking now. Now I'm doing everything, living the life the way God wants me to. So now it's just about, what do you want from me now, God? Like, show me the way. Show me how you want my life to go, and let's go. Hopefully it includes American Ninja Warrior, because I didn't forget about that. All right, you guys, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching through this whole video. I know it got pretty long, but thank you for hanging out with me and learning more about me and hearing some of my experience, strength, and hope. And I hope that it helps somebody out there. And I hope that you guys that are still struggling, find your support group. Just know that you're never alone, never again, ever. And if you need some pointing in the right direction to God, look up Joel Osteen. I'm still trying to figure out how to do the links and all that, so I will try to leave some links in this video. If I don't, I completely apologize. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. I barely know how to record and edit it and all that stuff. So, but yeah, get into some God stuff, yo. It's the best thing ever. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you can check out the next video that I upload. All right. Love you guys. Peace.